Hey guys. Oh Lord, my voice is cracking. we we're nearly we're near the end of the gauntlet. This is the gauntlet so far today. Sorry for your ears. uh and we just got a few more to go. But yeah, so welcome. Oh Lord, this little thing. My light, it shines on the lens of the camera up here and creates a sheen here. So this is like just so to block the light, block the lens flare. uh, it's not the pretty lens flare. Who is that that does that? He did the new Star Trek movie or whatever. I can't remember his name. J.J. Abrams. Yeah, J.J. Abrams always using the lens flare. We don't have his nice lens flares. So, but anyway, yeah. So this is Cora's Confusing Book Reviews, where we try to where I poorly ramble my way through various books that I've been reading lately and try to discuss them again very poorly. And today's book is Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos. Too long didn't watch. I guess would say I like Jordan Peterson as a person. I don't like his writing style. I like listening to him talk. I don't think I like his writing style. And even his talking is a little bit rambly for me, but that's saying something, right? Even considering how much I ramble, he's a little bit rambly. The book here is all over the place. I know there's a lot of people really. This is just me, where I'm at personally. I didn't find too much of it, but I can't help. There are a lot of people where this book is really impactful for them and really insightful, and I am not going to dismiss that. The book is a phenomenon, and I'm not going to diss it. I'm not going to diss the man, but for me, it was a little it was a difficult read. I don't think I finished it. In fact, I'm almost certain I did finish it. I think I got about maybe halfway, and then yeah. So anyway, I put it this way, I don't think it's an easy read, put it that way. But actually, I think I'm going to talk a little more badly about this book than I really expected to be talking about. But let's do the blurbs. Yes. The most influential public intellectual in the Western world right now. Over 5 million copies sold. Who we want to talk about? A good book, blunt and inspiring. We live in a time when so many young and not so young people feel lost, unsure of how they should approach their lives or life in general. Peterson talks about the attitudes that will help find the path. It is not a politically correct or officially approved path, but it is an intensely practical and heightened one. This life you're living has meaning. Peggy Noonan, Wall Street Journal. There's more blurbs here, but this is, psychology. It says psychology self-help. That's what this book is about. It's all about. I don't know if if you haven't ever seen Jordan Peterson talk, I think it's well worth hearing him talk. He gets a lot of bad press. He is a controversial figure, and it is not. I'm not going to wade into that, but it is not. I will just say that it is not politically correct. The very politically correct types do not like Jordan Peterson. Not that he says anything outlandish. It's just he refuses to say the things that they want him to say. He to be clear, he baits them. He doesn't say things nice about them. Let's put it that way. But he does so in a very particular way. He's a controversial figure. Let's put it that way. And he is, I think, very earnest and compassionate, I believe. And I think very forthright. And I think it comes through. People pick up on that. And I think that's why the book has been such a big bestseller. I don't think the book is that great. It's a hard read. Maybe I'm probably just dumber than I think I am. And when I read the book, I have a hard time sticking with where he's going. He goes off on tangents, and he goes off on, the dude rants like a master. He goes off on these tangents, and it is truly a sight to behold. If you've been at school and your professor we all have that professor or whatever that you could bait him, right? You could get him on a topic and he would go like way off in Westfield or whatever, and that was the entire class, right? It's Jordan Peterson. He is very much one of those type of professors. It's very clear that he thinks very highly of the way that he thinks and talks and everything. And to be clear, I'm firmly a part of the opinion that you should state your opinions clearly as you can, and as forthrightly as you can, and as strongly as you can. I can't stand wishy-washy language. I think you just state what you say with the implicit assumption that you expect that your words are going to be interpreted. I can't. That's the words that your words are going to be interpreted charitably, right? Like that, we're going to have a forthright conversation that I'm going to interpret what you're saying in charitably, and you're going to do the same thing for me. It's the kind of thing that happens in any non-adversarial context. Think about it, you're talking with your friends or whatever, and they say something that's slightly not kosher or whatever, but you know what that meant, you know. They may say something that's slightly offensive to you, even to you personally, but you know that they didn't mean it the way that they said it. That's talking charitably. That's interpreting somebody else's statements charitably, taking them in their best light. And I don't think enough people do Jordan Peterson that way. But I am certain that is the way he's speaking. Is just to assume it, that he's going to be interpreted in bad faith, even though he has all the evidence that shows that no one's doing that, or at least all his most vocal critics are not doing that. But everybody who supports him does, you know. So it's an interesting thing where the only reason why he is as controversial as he is because he doesn't mince words. He's very blunt. I don't mean, people often use the word blunt, and it usually means that you just say whatever comes to mind and you're not putting any thought into how it's received or whatever. But that is not the way that I got Jordan Peterson's speaking style. Is that he is trying to be careful about how he says things and being very thoughtful about how he says things, but he's not wincing from saying exactly what he means, what exactly he means to, what needs to be said to fully get his point across. So anyway, if you haven't heard him speak, I think pretty much any of the like Joe Rogan podcast with him, I think they have a good rapport with would probably a good way to hear what he speaks. Pretty much any mainstream media interview of Jordan Peterson, and pretty much any interview that he has in mainstream media is just a hit piece. And it's comically so. Like, you'll see some of his interviews where like the reporter is just off the rails, and like it's completely it's like this weird la la land. I'm like, no one else sees this. I'm like, the rest of the like normal folks all see this, but apparently none of the media folks could see this. So anyway, it's just, read the book almost just so you could be a little bit more clued into the controversies and get a little bit more insights into this book. But yeah, I bought his book almost because, well, I like hearing him talk. He's a little bit repetitive after a while, talking about communism and stuff like that. But not that this is not an important topic, but it's very clearly a pet topic for him. Anyway, he gets a little bit repetitive and a bit, honestly, I think hearing him quite a bit now, it's almost a little bit of a victim complex. And to be fair, if anybody has right to have some sort of victim complex, this is this man. He has been attacked relentlessly for relatively benign statements. It's comical, really, if it wasn't so sad. So anyway, back to the book at hand. The book is about I think I may have heard him say this himself. I think he has said about the book that the reason why it's so popular nowadays is it's a book about duty and responsibility and morality, and that whole related thing, in a climate where no one seriously talks about that, especially not to young men, right? Everybody's like, speak your own truth kind of people, which is, fine, but in the speak your own truth, there's also some hard realities that need to be acknowledged as well, and that never really gets any airtime, or at least it hasn't until relatively recently. Nobody's really talking about things that make a life good, make a man or woman lead a good life, and be a morally responsible person. And the only people really talking about that is the religions, right? Like if you go to church, you're going to hear all about morality and stuff like that. But in secular society, nobody's talking about morality anymore, which is kind of what this book is about. It's about, cleaning up your life through some rules and stuff like that, and some principles to try and kind of live by. So he has this book, and he has another book called 12 Moral Rules of Life or something like that. Well, let's just do the rules right quick. If I have it, and right here, and it's comical. People talking bad about this book and Jordan Peterson and everything, and then you read this. It's funny. Rule 1: stand up straight with your shoulders back. Rule 2: treat yourself like someone you were responsible for helping. Rule 3: make friends with people who want the best for you. It's a terrible man. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. I mean, this man is just a tyrant. I mean, I can't believe this. Pursue what is meaningful, what is not what is expedient. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something that you don't. be precise in your speech. I mean, the audacity of this man is just, it's incredible, right? Rule 11, do not bother children when they're skateboarding. I don't know what this is about. I didn't make it all the way through the book, guys. Pet a cat, rule 12, pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. I imagine that's something about taking time to stop and smell the roses, but it doesn't matter. It really is a self-help book. It's rambly, and I don't know how anybody makes it through it, but I think that and part of it is someone who is in that position where they desperately need someone to give them at least some guiding principles as a basis to go forward. I think this is a pretty good book for that people because it is a challenging read. So you've got to really commit. The person who reads this book, they're committed, right? That indicates a level of commitment because the book it's not a page turner, guys. It's not boring, but it's just, like I said, it's kind of rambly, and it's yeah. Let me just read a little bit. Let's do rule 9. Assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't. And it says, not advice. Psychotherapy is not advice. Advice is when you get the person you're talking with about something horrible and complicated, wishes you would just shut up and go away. Advice is what you get when the person you are talking to wants to revel in the superiority of his or her own intelligence. If you weren't so stupid after all, you wouldn't have your stupid problems. Psychotherapy is genuine conversation. Genuine conversation is exploration, articulation, strategizing. When you're involved in a genuine conversation, you're listening and talking, but mostly listening. Listening is paying attention. It's amazing what people will tell you if you listen. Sometimes if you listen to people, they will even tell you what is wrong with them. Sometimes they will even tell you how they plan to fix it. Sometimes that helps you fix something wrong with yourself. One surprising time, and this is only one occasion of many when such things happen, I was listening to someone very carefully, and she told me within minutes that she was a witch, and that her witch coven spent a lot of its time visualizing world peace together. She was a long-time lower-level functionary in some bureaucratic job. I would never have guessed that she was a witch. I also didn't know what witch coven spent any of their time visualizing. I didn't know that witch coven spent any of their time visualizing world peace. I didn't know what to make of any of it either, but it wasn't boring, and that's something. As you can see, it's written a lot like he speaks, but again, when he goes in tangents when he's speaking, it's a lot easier to follow. It gets a little tedious when you have to read it. At least that was. Maybe I'll go back and I don't want to. It's a good book. I'm not going to not recommend it. That's the thing. I'm like, I keep talking about how I didn't finish the book, but at the same time, I know people personally who have read at least part of this book and they think highly of it. So it's I would say if you're in a place where you maybe need some inspiration or frank guidance that maybe you're not getting from your personal relationships, I think might be a good place. If you don't have any strong mentors in your life and you can't have a frank conversation about where you're going with life, and you're a leaf on the wind. I think this might be a good place to kind of start thinking about that guidance and stuff like that. I think this is a very good book by a very insightful person. I don't think it was. I don't think it's a book that if you're deep into self-help already, I don't think this really um, adds a whole lot to the conversation. But I think if this is the one self-help book that you do read, and it's not Atomic Habits, which is probably, I think this is more of a motivational self-help book, and I think I nearly always recommend Atomic Habits as a like the first self-help book that anybody should just read. But I think if you need a motivational book in the same vein as, like, I've never read him, but like a Tony Robbins kind of book, he always talks about he's not a motivational speaker when he's like the best one in the world. But I think this is kind of there. I think this is the Tony Robbins kind of personal power book for the new generation, right? I think maybe that's part. I think that maybe this. Yeah, I think this is the frank. I won't say harsh. I almost said harsh. I think this is the frank truth about morality and self-development and personal development and responsibility that has been missing from the conversation, at least the public discourse, for quite some time. And I think it's a good book. I don't think it's for everybody though, so it's hard to I can't wholeheartedly recommend it, but also don't want to say it's a bad book, because it's not. And anyway, maybe that's just how I feel about it right now. Maybe eventually I'll get the rest of it, and my thoughts will have changed. But when I was reading this at the time, I wasn't getting much out of it. But I know there's so many testimonies of people who really did enjoy this book. So anyway, we keep going back and forth. It's a good book for the right person, and we'll leave it at that. So anyway, we have that's all for this week. So this is Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos. You can see I got this. You see how it got bright and everything? It's because my monitor decided to, the white balance decided to, this monitor is so weird. Anyway, it's not my camera. It's literally the monitor just decided to get bright all of a sudden. Yeah, so we're almost through the queue. Both of these books are programming books, so probably for the next 2 weeks, unless there's another random video threaded through here, will be 2 programming books. So we're almost done, guys. I'm almost done. Been doing this for like 3 hours. All right, I'll catch you guys on the next one.